The storm outside the research academy roared like an angry god. Lightning flashed across the sky, throwing blue light over the tall glass dome that covered the xenobiology wing. Inside, a single human student worked late. Ethan Cole, 22 years old, quiet, curious, and a little too brave for his own good. The corridors were silent except for the hum of the power lines. He was supposed to be cataloging DNA samples from alien creatures collected on the colony world of Vernus 9. But one crate in the corner didn't match the others. Its label was old, faded, and written in a script that wasn't human. Ethan frowned. "That's strange," he murmured. He tapped the control pad and the crate's display blinked red. Containment integrity, unstable. Before he could react, the power flickered. The storm outside surged, and a blinding flash tore through the lab. The alarm screamed. The containment field collapsed with a crackling sound that rattled the windows. Then he heard it. A growl so deep it felt like thunder inside his chest. Out of the broken crate crawled a massive creature. Its skin dark silver like molten metal cooling. Its eyes glowed gold. Its limbs were bound with glowing shackles that fizzled and vanished as the system shorted out. The creature rose to full height, towering over Ethan. Its breath fogged the air. Everyone on Vernus 9 had heard legends of the Beast of Verni, the biological weapon the alien armies once used before it was banned. It was said to be unstoppable and uncontrollable, and now it was free. Ethan froze. Every instinct screamed to run, but something about the creature's eyes made him stop. There was confusion in them and pain. The beast sniffed the air and looked at him. It let out a low rumble, not quite a growl. Ethan took a slow step backward. "Easy," he whispered. "I'm not here to hurt you." Behind him, the security door slammed open. Two guards rushed in with shock rifles. "Step away from the creature," one shouted. Before Ethan could speak, one of the guards fired. The bolt hit the beast in the shoulder, and everything changed. The creature roared, the sound shaking the entire lab. Its eyes flared bright gold. It smashed the floor with its claws, sending shock waves across the room. The guards were thrown aside like toys. Ethan stumbled but didn't run. The beast turned its head toward him, and then strangely moved between him and the fallen guards. It spread its arms wide as if protecting him. For a moment, time stopped. Ethan's heartbeat thundered in his ears. The beast looked down at him again. In its eyes he saw something he didn't expect. Not rage, but recognition. A spark of memory. The alarms blared louder. Reinforcements were on the way. Ethan whispered almost to himself, "Why are you protecting me?" The creature made a deep sound, almost like a word, a tone that echoed through the air. Ethan didn't understand, but he felt its meaning. Mine. The lab lights shattered. The beast leaped through the wall, tearing it apart, and landed outside in the storm. Rain poured down as the academy's sirens echoed across the campus. When the guards returned, Ethan was gone. All they found were broken walls, claw marks, and a single glowing print, and large, heavy, and next to a much smaller human footprint. Somewhere in the storm, a creature built for war had made a choice, and that choice would change the fate of both species. The rain had not stopped since the night the beast broke free. Lightning crawled across the sky like white veins. The entire colony of Vernus 9 was now under lockdown. Every broadcast, every screen in the city showed the same red warning. Containment breach, subject R9 is at large. Do not approach. Helicopters roared above the metallic towers. Searchlights cut through the storm. Inside one of those towers, Commander Rhea Talon, head of security, stood beside the cracked glass wall of the xenobiology wing. Her black armor reflected the flickering red lights of the destroyed lab. She stared at the broken wall and said, "A human student was in here when it escaped. Ethan Cole, find him." Her second-in-command hesitated.
"You think he's alive, ma'am?"
Rhea looked at the claw marks burned deep into the wall. If that thing wanted him dead, he'd be gone already. No, it took him. Far away, deep in the forest that bordered the colony, Ethan woke up. His clothes were wet, his hands covered in mud. His body ached, but he was alive. The air smelled of wet earth and ozone. The trees around him were twisted and glowing faintly, alien flora that moved slightly as if breathing. He pushed himself up and winced. There, lying a few meters away, was the beast. Its massive body rested against a fallen tree. Its shoulder burned where the rifle bolt had hit it. Steam rose from the wound, golden blood mixing with the rain. Ethan hesitated but slowly walked closer. His heart still raced, but fear wasn't the same now. He had seen the creature's eyes. There was something intelligent behind them. "Hey," he said softly, "you saved me." "Didn't you?" The beast opened one eye. A golden slit glowed in the dark. Its chest rose and fell heavily. It made a low rumbling sound, deep and tired. Ethan took it as a yes. He tore part of his wet jacket and pressed it gently against the wound. The beast growled but didn't strike him. Instead, it just watched, its breath warm and heavy. "You're hurt because of me," Ethan whispered. "I'm sorry." The creature blinked, then made a strange clicking sound, soft, almost like laughter. Meanwhile, back at the colony, drones scanned the forest from above. Rhea stood in the control room, watching the screens filled with static. "Track every heat signature," she ordered. "If we find the beast, we find the boy." Her officers exchanged uneasy looks. Everyone had heard the rumors that the beast was once part of an ancient alien army, created to protect a royal bloodline. The idea that it would protect a human now made no sense. In the forest, Ethan built a small fire under the roots of a massive tree. The beast sat near him, its huge claws digging into the mud. Its breathing was slower now, calmer. Every time thunder rolled, it would growl quietly like it hated the sound. Ethan couldn't help but study it. Its armor-like skin shimmered faintly under the rain. Its eyes were not just gold, they had faint blue rings inside, pulsing gently. "You're not a monster," Ethan said softly. "You're something else." The beast tilted its head, then reached one claw slowly toward him. Ethan froze, but it only touched the broken ID card hanging from his neck, the one with his name. It looked at the card, then at him, and rumbled a single word, low, distorted, but clear. "Ethan." Ethan's eyes widened. "You can talk?" The beast didn't reply, but there was something new in its gaze. Understanding. At that moment, a red laser dot appeared on Ethan's shoulder. He turned his head and saw 3 drones approaching through the fog, lights flashing. The beast stood up instantly, towering over him, muscles tensing. Its golden eyes turned sharp. "No, wait, don't attack!" Ethan shouted, but it was too late. With a roar that split the night, the beast leapt into the air and tore through the drones. Claws flashing like lightning. Sparks filled the rain. The forest exploded with noise. From the control tower miles away, Rhea watched the live feed go static. She narrowed her eyes. "So it is protecting him," she said coldly. "Fine. Then we take them both." In the dark, Ethan realized the truth. The beast wasn't running from humans, it was fighting for him. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt safer beside a monster than among his own kind. The forest was alive with light. Search drones glided above the trees, their red beams cutting through the mist like knives. Sirens echoed faintly from the colony in the distance. The rain had slowed, but the air was thick with tension and fear. Ethan Cole ran through the wet ground, heart pounding, trying to keep up with the enormous creature ahead of him. The beast moved silently despite its size, its heavy claws leaving deep marks in the mud. Every time the searchlight swept near, it froze, pulling Ethan under its arm, blending into the shadows like a ghost of metal and muscle. "They're tracking us," Ethan whispered, gasping for breath. "We can't just keep running." The beast looked down at him, eyes glowing gold through the fog. Then, with a low rumble, it turned and started moving deeper into the mountains, toward a place even drones avoided. By dawn, they reached a cliffside covered in glowing vines. There, hidden behind the rock, was an ancient tunnel carved with alien symbols. Symbols Ethan recognized from the crate in the lab. He stared at them, his breath fogging the cold air. You came from here, didn't you?" The beast looked at him, then nodded slowly. A simple human gesture. It pressed one claw against the wall. The runes glowed faint blue and the tunnel opened with a hiss, revealing darkness beyond. Ethan hesitated, but the beast's gentle push on his shoulder said everything. He followed it inside. The air inside was still and heavy, filled with the scent of dust and old energy. The walls shimmered faintly like they were alive. Ethan could hear faint whispers. Echoes of languages he didn't understand. He whispered, "What is this place?" The beast stopped before a giant stone door. It looked down, its golden eyes soft now, almost sad. Then it reached for the center of the door and pressed its palm against it. The door opened. Inside was a massive chamber filled with ancient machines, glowing orbs, and broken armor. But in the middle of the room stood a cracked stasis pod, identical to the one Ethan had opened back at the academy. On its surface, faint words were written in human letters. Project Guardian, Phase 1. Ethan's eyes widened. Guardian? You were made to protect someone. The beast rumbled softly, lowering its head. Its voice, rough and mechanical, whispered one word. Protect. Human. Ethan froze. He looked up at it in disbelief. You were made to protect us? The creature nodded. Its chest glowed faintly, golden lines tracing scars of old battles. Then Ethan understood. This thing wasn't a weapon of destruction. It was a protector, forgotten and abandoned when humans and aliens ended their war. You were guarding human soldiers, weren't you? Ethan said quietly. And when the war ended, they locked you away. The beast growled lowly, not in anger, in pain. Its hand trembled as it touched a piece of armor on the ground, small, designed for a human. Outside, thunder cracked again. The ground shook. A mechanical sound echoed through the tunnels. Metal footsteps. Ethan's heart stopped. Rhea's voice boomed through a loudspeaker. Ethan Cole! This is Commander Talon. Step away from the creature and surrender now. The beast moved between Ethan and the sound, growling low, protective again. Ethan grabbed its arm. No, if you fight, they'll call you a monster again. They'll destroy you! The beast looked down at him, silent for a moment, then spoke one more word, deep and ancient. Promise. Ethan frowned. Promise? Promise what? But before he could answer, the tunnel walls exploded. Armed soldiers stormed in, lights blinding. Rhea entered, her weapon aimed straight at the beast. Stand down, she shouted, or I'll put it down myself. The beast roared, shaking the chamber. Debris fell from the ceiling. Rhea's soldiers fired stun bolts, but the creature shielded Ethan again, taking the hits one by one. Stop, don't shoot, Ethan screamed. It's not your enemy. Rhea hesitated for the first time. The look in Ethan's eyes, and the way the beast wrapped its arm around him, didn't look like a hostage situation. It looked like loyalty. For a moment, the commander lowered her gun, but then one soldier panicked and fired. The bolt hit the beast in the chest. The chamber filled with light. The creature fell to its knees, growling in pain. Ethan's scream echoed through the ancient tunnels. The soldiers closed in, weapons raised, but then the symbols on the walls began to glow brighter, one by one, and something ancient awoke beneath the mountain. The ground cracked. The beast's eyes opened again, burning gold, brighter than before, and in that storm of light and fury, everyone realized they had not captured a creature. They had awakened a legend. The mountain trembled. Dust rained down from the ceiling as cracks spread across the ancient walls. Ethan stumbled backward, shielding his eyes from the blinding light rising from the floor. The glowing runes burned brighter, pulsing like the heartbeat of something alive beneath the stone. The soldiers shouted in panic. Fall back! Fall back! But it was too late. The chamber shook again. Louder this time, a deep, thunderous rhythm, as if the mountain itself had taken a breath after 1,000 years of silence. The beast, still on its knees, let out a roar that echoed through the tunnels. The golden glow from its chest expanded, spreading into the symbols around it. Energy crackled through the air. Ethan could feel his hair stand on end. What's happening? He shouted. Commander Rhea Talon tried to steady herself against a wall. Her eyes darted across the room, wide with disbelief. It's reacting to him, she said under her breath. It's not dying. It's waking up. The floor split open, revealing massive rings of metal and light. Ancient machinery buried deep within the mountain. The same technology that had once created the beast. Ethan rushed to the creature's side. You have to stop this. You'll bring the whole mountain down. The beast looked at him, eyes no longer just gold but burning white at the center. Its voice rumbled like a storm. No, awaken. Guardians. Ethan shook his head. Guardians? There's more of you? The beast pressed its claw into the ground and the glowing energy spread farther, lighting up hundreds of symbols across the walls. Silhouettes began to appear within the ancient chambers, massive shapes frozen in crystal, humanoid but larger, sleeping. Rhea's soldiers aimed their weapons. Targets detected. Multiple heat signatures. Rhea shouted, "Hold your fire!" We don't know what they are. But panic had already taken over. One soldier fired. The bolt struck a wall, and the entire chamber responded with a deep metallic hum. From the ice-like pods around them, other beasts began to move. Their eyes flickered open one by one, red, blue, gold. The air vibrated with low growls. Ethan's heart pounded. He turned to the beast, his beast, the one who had saved him. "Please, you have to stop this. They'll kill everyone." The creature looked down at him, then at the frightened humans raising their guns. For a brief moment it hesitated. Its claws dug into the floor, torn between instinct and loyalty. Then it reached out and touched Ethan's chest, right over his heart. "Human is a leader. Protect." Ethan froze. "Me? Protect who?" Before he could finish, the beast's body began to dissolve into golden light. Its armor cracked apart like burning ash, and streams of energy wrapped around Ethan's arms and chest. The glowing lines merged with his skin, forming strange marks, the same symbols from the wall. Rhea gasped. "He's syncing with it." Ethan screamed as visions flooded his mind, images of a war long ago. Humans and aliens fighting side by side, creatures like this one guarding both races. The beasts were never meant to destroy. They were living shields, protectors created to keep peace, and the one who had saved him was the last of its kind. When the light faded, Ethan fell to his knees, breathing hard. The beast's body lay still behind him, but its energy now glowed inside him. Rhea took a cautious step forward. "Ethan, what did it do to you?" He looked up, eyes now faintly glowing gold. "It gave me control," he whispered. "It trusted me to finish what it started." Before Rhea could respond, a deafening roar shook the chamber again. The newly awakened beasts began to rise, but they didn't attack. They stood in a circle, bowing slightly toward Ethan. He stared, shaking, overwhelmed. They're waiting for orders. Outside, the storm finally broke. Lightning struck the mountain's peak, and energy from the chamber shot upward into the clouds, forming a massive golden pillar of light. The entire colony could see it, a beacon calling across the planet. Rhea lowered her weapon. "What are you going to do, Ethan?" He looked at her, the light reflecting in his eyes. "I'm going to protect them, both sides. The beasts and the humans. That's what they were made for." The walls pulsed once more like a giant heart. Somewhere deep inside the mountain, a voice, ancient and powerful, whispered through the air. "Guardian reborn." Ethan stood slowly, the storm fading behind him. The boy who once studied aliens in a quiet lab was gone. Now a legend had taken his place. The golden light from the mountain burned across the night sky like a second sun. Every sensor, every camera in the colony recorded it. Across the planet of Verni 9, humans woke in terror, some praying, some reaching for weapons. And in the middle of it all stood Ethan Cole, drenched in rain and light, surrounded by giants. The guardians, the ancient beasts, knelt before him, their glowing eyes reflecting his own. Each one pulsed with golden veins of energy, the same pattern now etched into Ethan's skin. He felt their presence in his mind. Thousands of quiet voices waiting for direction, waiting for purpose. It was power beyond comprehension, and it terrified him. Commander Rhea Talon watched from a distance, her armor cracked, her eyes wide. She had fought wars, led soldiers, but she had never seen anything like this. "He's linked to them," she whispered. "They're obeying him." Hours later, the storm had cleared, but the world had changed. Back at the colony base, Rhea stood in a dark control room facing a massive hologram. The High Council of Terra. Their faces flickered with static and anger. "You let a containment subject bond with an alien weapon," one of them barked. "Do you understand what that means, Commander?" Rhea kept her voice calm. "With respect, sir, the creature wasn't a weapon. It was a guardian. It saved him." Another council member leaned forward, eyes cold. "Guardians? Myths. You've been deceived. That boy, Ethan Colum, is now a threat. If those creatures follow him, he could command an army." The hologram flickered out, leaving silence. Rhea stood there for a moment, jaw tight. She didn't fully trust Ethan either, but she had seen the way the beast protected him, the way he tried to stop the fighting. He didn't act like a weapon. He acted like a human who cared. Still, orders were orders. "Deploy recon teams," she said quietly. "Find him before someone else does." Far from the city, Ethan sat beside a campfire in the shadow of the mountain. The air around him shimmered faintly with golden particles, energy that refused to leave him. The marks on his arms pulsed softly in rhythm with his heartbeat. He wasn't alone. One guardian, the largest of them with silver scales and eyes like dying star, knelt beside him. It was not his beast, but somehow he could feel its memories. Ethan spoke softly, almost to himself. You all protected humans once. You were our shields. The guardian tilted its head, then made a low sound. Not quite speech, but not just noise either. In his mind, he understood it. Purpose forgotten. Awakened again. Because of you. Ethan looked into the fire. I didn't want this. I just wanted to help. The voice inside his mind replied, You are chosen by the bond. You carry the guardian's will. Before he could answer, a blue flash lit the trees. A drone whirred overhead, scanning them. Then from the dark came the sound of boots and rifles. Human soldiers. Ethan Cole, a voice shouted. By order of the council, you're under arrest. Ethan stood quickly, heart racing. The guardians around him rose too, towering like mountains of living armor. The soldiers froze. One whispered, Gods above. Ethan raised his hands. Don't shoot. I don't want anyone hurt. But one nervous soldier fired anyway. The plasma bolt shot toward him, and before Ethan could move, a guardian stepped in front of him. The blast hit the creature's chest and vanished like water against stone. The guardian growled, not in rage but warning. The soldiers stumbled backward, terrified. Ethan clenched his fists, his skin glowing brighter. The guardians responded instantly, their eyes lighting up in unison. He could feel their strength waiting for his command. One word from him could destroy everything, and yet he didn't want to. He wanted peace. He wanted understanding. He shouted over the chaos, Stop! No more fighting! For a long moment the world stood still. The rain, the smoke, the humming energy line all frozen. Then slowly the guardians lowered their claws. The soldiers dropped their rifles. Only silence remained. But miles away in the highest orbit station above Vernus 9, the council had already made their decision. Subject Ethan Cole cannot be allowed to exist, said the lead admiral. If he controls those creatures, he controls the planet. A red light blinked on the console. A command code for orbital strike. Back on the ground, Ethan looked up at the sky just as the clouds began to glow red. He didn't know yet, but the humans he wanted to protect had just sent death from above, and the guardians and his guardians were about to rise for war. The night sky glowed red. At first, Ethan thought it was dawn breaking early, but then he saw the streaks of light falling from the clouds, burning brighter than the stars. His breath caught in his throat. The air vibrated with a deep hum that grew louder with every passing second. The guardians around him raised their heads, their glowing eyes reflecting the fire above. They knew what it meant. Death was coming from the heavens. Commander Rhea Talon watched from the colony tower, face pale. No, they wouldn't, she whispered. But the voice in her comm answered coldly. Orbital command confirmed. Full cleansing strike on the mountain region. No survivors. Her fists tightened. She had served the council her entire life. But now as she watched the sky burn, she realized that this wasn't protection. It was fear. Down below in the valley beneath the awakened mountain, Ethan stood frozen. The mark on his arms began to glow brighter as the guardians moved around him, forming a wide circle. Their heavy feet shook the ground as they raised their arms, armor plates shifting and locking with a metallic roar. They're attacking again, Ethan muttered. From the sky this time, the silver guardian beside him, the one who had spoken in his mind before, looked down at him, voice deep like thunder. Then the sky must be shielded. Ethan stared up as the first blast fell. A beam of white fire streaked down, roaring like the end of the world. He shouted, No! The guardians roared together. From their chests, streams of golden energy burst into the air. The beams met mid-sky, forming a massive dome of light that spread across the valley. The impact hit, and the world exploded in sound. The ground trembled. Trees were ripped from their roots. The air burned with plasma fire, but inside the golden shield, Ethan and the guardians stood unharmed. Outside the dome, everything turned to ash. In the command room, Rhea watched the readings. The orbital strike had hit, but something impossible happened. The blast hadn't reached the surface. Sir, a technician stammered, the target survived. The energy was absorbed. The council leader's voice cracked through the comm. Absorbed how? Rhea's eyes narrowed. He's channeling it, she whispered. The human is using their energy. When the smoke cleared, Ethan opened his eyes. The shield faded slowly. Around him, the Guardians knelt, their golden light flickering weakly. They had stopped the strike, but at a cost. Many of them were wounded, their armor cracked, their energy fading. He ran to the nearest one, pressing his hands against its glowing chest. "Hold on, you did it, you saved us." The Guardian looked down, its voice faint. "We protected, as promised." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "I won't let you die." His hands glowed brighter, golden energy flowing through him like fire. He didn't understand how, but the power of the bond, the same bond the first beast had given him, surged again. The Guardian's breathing steadied. The light returned, but then he felt something else, a pain. His vision blurred. The more he gave, the weaker he became. In the distance, Rhea landed with a small squad, the air still hot and filled with smoke. She saw Ethan kneeling between the giants, his skin glowing like molten light. "Ethan!" she shouted. "Stop! You'll burn yourself out." He looked up, exhausted, sweat dripping down his face. "I have to. They protected us. Now it's my turn." Rhea stepped forward, lowering her rifle. For the first time, she saw not a boy, not an experiment, but a leader. Then her communicator buzzed again. "Talon, this is command." The first strike failed. Preparing second volley. Her eyes went wide. "Don't you dare," but the signal cut out. Above them, the red light gathered again. Ethan clenched his fists. "They'll keep coming," he said softly. "Unless we make them stop." The Silver Guardian rumbled beside him. "Then we rise." The ground trembled as the Guardians lifted their heads toward the sky. Their golden energy combined once more in line, but this time it didn't form a shield. It shot upward in a single massive beam, piercing the clouds and striking the orbiting station. The night turned white. The station's lights blinked out one by one until the sky went dark again. When silence returned, Ethan fell to his knees, trembling. The power inside him flickered, fading. The Guardian stood behind him, tired, but alive. Rhea walked closer, slowly lowering her weapon. "You stopped an orbital strike," she said quietly. "No human has ever done that." Ethan looked up at her, eyes still glowing faint gold. "I didn't stop it," he said softly. "We did." He looked at the Guardians, then back toward the colony. "But now they'll come for all of us." Rhea nodded grimly. "Then we better be ready." And as thunder rolled again over the scarred valley, Ethan Cole, once a student, realized the truth. He wasn't just a survivor anymore. He was the bridge between two worlds, and both sides were preparing for war. The storm had passed, but the planet wasn't quiet. Across Vernus 9, the skies glowed faint orange from the burned clouds. The once green valleys were now blackened scars, still steaming from the orbital blasts. And in the center of it all stood Ethan Cole, a young human whose veins glowed like fire. Around him, the Guardians stood tall, silent titans of gold and silver waiting for his command. Far above, in orbit, the Council fleet prepared its final strike. Dozens of warships aligned in perfect formation, their engines burning blue. In the command bridge, the Admiral's voice echoed coldly. "No hesitation. The creatures and their human leader must be erased. This is not war. It is cleansing." But down on the surface, one woman refused to follow that order. Commander Rhea Talon stood at the colony outpost, staring at the giant holographic display of Ethan and the Guardians. The soldiers behind her waited for commands, confused and scared. "They saved us once," she said quietly, "and we're about to kill them for it." No one answered. Fear ruled the air. Rhea slammed her hand on the table. "Prepare my dropship. If we destroy them, we destroy our future." Ethan could already sense the attack coming, a pressure in the air like thunder waiting to strike. The connection between him and the Guardians pulsed faster, heavier. Every heartbeat echoed through 1,000 minds. He whispered to himself, "They'll never stop, will they?" The Silver Guardian beside him, now scarred from battle, looked down. "They fear what they do not control." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then it's time to show them we're not enemies." He placed his hand on the ground, and golden energy rippled outward like sunlight over water. The Guardians responded instantly, forming ranks, their chests glowing brighter until the entire valley shone like dawn. Above them, the first fleet fired. Blue beams of plasma fell from the sky like falling stars. The Guardians raised their arms, creating massive shields of energy. But the strikes were stronger this time. The ground cracked. Trees burst into flame. One guardian fell with a roar that shook the air. Ethan gritted his teeth. The pain of each fallen guardian struck him like lightning through his own body. "Stop," he shouted to the heavens. "We don't want to fight." But the sky gave no answer. Then, through the chaos, Ria's dropship descended, breaking through the smoke. It landed between Ethan and the burning forest. The hatch opened and she stepped out, her armor blackened, her weapon lowered. "Ethan!" she yelled. "They're preparing a final orbital barrage. Once it starts, the whole planet goes with it." He stared at her, torn. "They won't listen." "I've tried." She shook her head. "Then make them listen." Ethan hesitated, then closed his eyes. He reached deeper into the bond than ever before. Pain exploded in his skull, but he didn't stop. The marks on his arms spread across his body, turning his skin into living gold. The guardians lifted their heads as if answering a call from the heart of the world. Together they raised their hands toward the sky. The clouds split apart. A single beam of pure golden light shot upward, piercing the atmosphere. It wasn't a weapon, and it was a message, a signal filled with sound, images, and emotion, transmitted directly to every human ship, every soldier, every heart. The message was simple. We were never your enemies. Up in orbit, silence filled the command deck. The Admiral gripped the rail, eyes wide as the data streamed across the screens. Ethan's memories, the beast's sacrifice, the truth of the Guardian's creation. For the first time, he saw not monsters but protectors, and a single human standing among them, unbroken, unafraid. The Admiral lowered his hand. "Cease fire," he said softly. "Stand down." The fleet stopped. The red light of destruction faded. On the surface, Ethan collapsed, drained completely. The Silver Guardian caught him before he hit the ground. Ria rushed forward, kneeling beside him. "You did it," she said, voice trembling. "You stopped the war," Ethan smiled weakly. "No, we did." He looked up at the massive creature beside him. They just needed someone to remember why they were made. The Silver Guardian bowed its head. "Guardian serves, until peace holds." The valley fell silent as the first rays of morning touched the broken land. The golden light on Ethan's skin began to fade, but the marks remained, symbols of a bond that could never be erased. For the first time in centuries, Vernus 9 was quiet. No alarms, no orders, only the wind, and the heartbeat of two species learning to live again. And so the human once feared by his own kind became their protector. The beasts once built for war became their guardians once more. And the legend of Ethan Cole, the human who stood with giants, was born.